Welcome back to another episode of the Higher Self Hotline. I'm so excited for another installment of Let Me Ask My Psychic. And this month, I have a special guest for you who will be appearing later in the episode to answer some listener questions with me. Spoiler alert, it's my husband, Ethan. Hello, and thank you for calling the Higher Self Hotline, your direct line to the divine. You've been led here by your inner knowing, and you've arrived right on cue. I'm your host, Zoey Greco, and together we'll make the ethereal earthly, helping you consciously embody your spiritual knowing and most authentic self. Please listen carefully to the following options. To discover how to fulfill your soul's purpose, press 1. To unlock infinite abundance in life, love, and career, press 2. To heal your mind, body, and spirit, press 3. To speak with your personal spirit guides, press 0. Please hold while we connect you to your highest timeline. Hello, Divine Darlings, and welcome back to the Higher Self Hotline. I'm your host, Zoey Greco. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you are just tuning in for the audio, you're going to be missing the fact that I am wearing a tiny crown today. I'm wearing a little tiara. And if you are tuning in for the video on YouTube or Spotify, I hope that you like my little crown as much as I do. Welcome back to another episode of the Higher Self Hotline. I'm so excited for another installment of Let Me Ask My Psychic. And this month, I have a special guest for you who will be appearing later in the episode to answer some listener questions with me. Spoiler alert, it's my husband, Ethan. This month is our wedding anniversary. We've been married for 9 years together for almost 11 or 12. I should do the math, but we've been together a really long time. We've been together for 11 years. It's almost 12 years. And I just thought since it's our anniversary that I would take some listener questions about love. I do think Ethan and I have a lot to share on that topic. And I truly am in just such a joyful, fulfilling, nurturing, nourishing relationship. And I want to share some of that with you and take you a little deeper into what I think really works about it and share some insights that might support you in making choices and decisions about your relationship or the relationship that you want to have. So we're going to get to that a little bit later in the episode. And of course, we are going to tune in for a September numerological forecast. There is so much to share. September is the collective peak and the personal peak of the year. So we have a lot of really big, important things to cover and discuss and talk about. But before that, I want to just do a little catch up with you, as you know I like to do. So without further ado, let's get into it. So August has actually been an extremely fun and fulfilling month for me. At the time that I am recording this, it is Sunday, August 24th. And this month has been so full of joy and fun and play for me. It's a personal month 6 for me, so it is all about relationships. But there have also been some huge, profound personal shifts that I've been moving through and going through that I'm really excited to share with you as much as I can at the stage that it's at. But first, I just want to speak to the joy I've been having. This month has been so fun. I have really just been playing with my friends and with my community. There were a couple nights where, so 2 of my very best friends are married to my husband's 2 best friends. One is his cousin and one is his childhood best friend. They grew up together. They have the same name. They were born 10 days apart. They're both named Ethan, born 10 days apart in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and have been best friends their whole life. And he and his wife from Australia live just across the street from us, basically. And then his other very close and best friend, his cousin, Kelly, lives just down the street the other way with his beautiful wife. And their 2 wives are like 2 of my very best friends, Selena and Yesenia. And because we all live so close together, we really have this fun opportunity to just be like, does anyone want to go get crumble cookies at night? Or does anyone want to go do this? And so we got together to just like eat some DoorDash and hang out And at like 7:00 at night, we decided we should go to the mall. And so we for like 2 hours, we're just running around the mall from store to store trying to find like Labubus and stuff, like the collectibles that we like. We don't only collect Labubus, we collect a lot of things, but we just had such a fun, it felt like being a teenager, just like being at the mall late at night, like running around, doing some late night shopping, like just being with my girls. Like we were all in our PJs and the boys went. It was just really fun just to be together, all of us. And then the very next night, that same mall, actually, we went with two of our other very good friends and went to an arcade, and we spent all night there. And it was so fun. If you live in Arizona, if you're in the Phoenix area, in Chandler, they just opened this new arcade called Round One, and it has like a karaoke room and bowling and like 100 claw machines and all these like really cool arcade games. And I had a blast. My adrenaline was pumping the whole time. We also, when we got to the mall, because the arcade closes way later than the mall itself, I know the girl I was with that night, Victoria, also loves to collect Labubu. She just got into it. So I like brought her upstairs and we got our collectibles. We had a really good time. It was so much fun. And we just had such a fun time playing. We were there in the arcade until like 11 p.m. And that's the kind of fun I'm having this month. It's just like simple, joyful times with people that I love. Quality time is definitely one of my love languages. I would say words of affirmation, which unfortunately the people in my life are actually not the most adept at. So I don't really get as much of that as I think I would love to have. But I definitely get a lot of that from Ethan, which is really, really helpful. And also quality time. And so spending this kind of quality time with my friends, just playing and having fun, is so fulfilling to my soul. I've been doing a lot of thrifting this month as well. Selena, Yesenia, and I, and my mom as well, actually have been going to some markets that were around this month. And it's tough in Arizona because it is like, some days it's 115 degrees. This summer has actually been surprisingly cooler, but like last summer we had the most days over 118 degrees we've ever had. And if you're in Celsius, if you like use Celsius, I believe it's like over 45 degrees Celsius, which is like insane. So it is insanely hot here. And some of these markets are outside in the daytime, which is kind of tough if I'm being honest, but we find a way to make it work. And there's just like the community in Phoenix is so awesome. And I'm really getting into it even more. Like we have like this thing called First Friday downtown where, the museum entry is free and there's all these like vendors out and just, you can kind of wander around. We've gotten like caricatures with our friends and it's just so fun to like be downtown and meet people. And everyone is so friendly here in Phoenix. Like truly, I don't love the weather and I'm kind of like over the desert, but I really, really am enjoying the community and the energy and the essence of Phoenix in a way that I think it would be really hard to move away from at this point. And just the vibe of the desert, but also like the kindness of the people, the openness. Like I truly can talk to anyone, anywhere I go. I'm so comfortable. I feel safe pretty much everywhere. I'm not afraid to like be alone. I just think it's a really lovely place to live. And I really love the people. And I'm just kind of, what am I, 14 years into living here? Is that possible? 11 years into living here. I am really understanding like the magic of Phoenix and leaning into my community and my surrounding community even more than usual. Last night, Ethan and I were out super late, which is really uncommon for us. We only stay out apparently late to go to arcades. And then last night we were at a concert. It was from my favorite band, Tennis. They're actually one of my favorite bands. And this is their farewell tour. So I was really, really glad to be able to go. If you watch my Instagram stories, you will see that because I'm only 5 feet tall, it was extremely hard for me to see anything. But we kind of like worked our way forward a little bit. But I always struggle going to shows with Ethan because he's a 6'2". So even though I'm not in anyone's way, he's kind of in everyone's way. And so like I stand mostly in the back with him because I just would hate to make him stand more toward the front with me and like block people. Because I understand the plight of being little, but we had such a good time. Loved the show. We had so much fun together. Been going on a lot of like dates with Ethan. Going out to dinner a bunch, just like our favorite hole in the wall spots. We've had a few nicer dinners this month too. And just really having fun. I know I've said it before, but I think something has shifted in me where I'm feeling more permission within myself to not be pushing myself quite so hard, which is funny to say because I'm working on a Sunday, but like I'm working on a Sunday because I love the podcast and I love you guys and I love to be here with you. So I'm happy to be here, like giggling in girlhood and sharing my like updates and the things I've been doing and working on. So just really leaning into joy this month. And then, big update. Even though I've discussed this recently that like the business is in a season of heavy investment versus income, which is there's a lot of reasons for that. Like the economy is in a very fragile state. There's changes that I'm making in my business that require like heavy investment. There's a lot of factors as to why this isn't my most abundant season in the business, which is fine. But even though I could be really worried about that and like freaking out about it, I'm really just choosing not to. Like, it's fine. It's always been fine. Every time I freaked out in the past, it was a big waste of energy. Like, I just choose not to live in fear and doubt. And like, I just choose not to make that my reality. But on top of those very like realistic observations and, reasons for concern in my life, I actually made a huge investment personally to work with a mentor. And this is actually the first time that I have invested in mentorship personally, just for my own sense of self, my personal development, my personal expression. And I haven't spoken with this person about whether or not they're comfortable with me talking about who they are on the show. So if I have that conversation with them and then they decide that it's fine, I would love to share more info or maybe even bring them on and, have a conversation in front of you guys, which I think could be really cool too. So let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. I've invested in this program. It's a year long and it has already, I'm a week in, and it already has been so extremely life-changing for me. Entering into this container has taught me so much. Honestly, like I had a really heavy like breakthrough. Like it felt like the universe was like pouring a waterfall into my crown chakra for about an hour a couple days ago. And I was like, oh, okay, major breakthrough. And that was really powerful, really potent and really intense, but also really cool. And there is nothing I enjoy more in life than personal development. Like I love asking myself deep questions. I mean, I'm an attitude 7 in numerology, which is like the skeptic, but also the seeker. It's the person who wants to understand, the researcher. And even though I'm not out like reading a ton of books, I'm doing research through personal experience, having sessions with clients, doing my own personal work. I do read, obviously, but I'm saying like, I'm not like a bookworm. I'm more of like someone that likes to study life through experience. And it feels so good to have someone who is a few steps ahead of me be able to teach me something. And I have really been able to confront my ego in this experience already in so many ways. Like the fact that this is the first time that I'm investing in mentorship, even though I myself am a mentor, is like so astounding to me. I'm really understanding the depth and the meaning of mentorship in an entirely new way. I'm understanding so much about myself and the tendencies that are obstructing my leadership. And that is amazing. And also really learning a lot about the type of container that I want to hold in the future and understanding the way that I want my work to be changing. So if you guys remember last month's episode of Let Me Ask My Psychic, I talked about the fact that I am feeling like maybe I don't really want to identify as a psychic, or that like that's not exactly the type of work I want to be doing, and we were going to figure that out together. Well, that's begun. That started. I've already been figuring that out. And the cool thing is, like I said, August has been a personal month 6 for me, but September is a personal month 7, and it is the peak of my personal year 7, which is where I step into the deepest levels of clarity as it pertains to my purpose, like the deep questions I've been asking myself. Like this whole last couple of years of profound change and personal exploration and just like the major deconstruction process that I've been going through, it has been really hard on me. It's been a lot harder on me than I think I've really been showing, because I think I was prideful, which is pretty surprising. Like I've been very surprised to like meet my pride and my ego, but like really happy to meet my pride and my ego, because as I do, I'm able to disarm it and like step into more vulnerability and more authenticity, which is really cool and exciting. I was having a really hard time with that process and feeling really heavy and afraid. And I'm actually not feeling any of that density or any of that fear anymore. I'm in an extremely good spot where like, yes, messages and stories of my ego are coming up and I'm becoming aware of them. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm having this thought, I'm having this experience, I'm having this resistance, I'm having this awareness. But I'm able to observe it rather than identify with it. And therefore I'm able to move through it a lot more quickly. So I'm having these like major breakthroughs, and next month is all about the breakthrough. And I feel it so profoundly. Like everything that I've been working through and working toward is culminating. And I feel so much relief because the end is in sight and I'm witnessing like what is going to happen and what's going to change and what is shifting within me. Like I'm observing it firsthand. And I really can feel that that process is underway. So I have a lot of confidence because I'm like, oh, it's already happening. I don't have to fight for it. I don't have to work for it. I don't have to push myself to these like uncomfortable, dense, intense places. I can just truly enjoy the process and trust the universe and trust myself. And I'm also learning so much about the way that my intuition operates and the parts of my consciousness that I should be listening to and tapping into versus the parts that I shouldn't. And it's crazy because like this mentor, with all the love and respect to this person, because I like really do love and respect this person, they haven't said that much to me. Like, it's just the way that they hold space in the container. It's just the way that the container allows me. Like, I experience this mentorship as a room of requirement. And I don't know, sorry for anyone out there that's like, ew, cringy millennial Harry Potter. Guess what, baby? I am a cringy millennial that loves Harry Potter. Deal with it. Deal with it. I do. I love Harry Potter. And the mentorship is feeling exactly like a room of requirement for me. It feels like I've entered this space and it is reflecting back to me everything that I need. To me, it feels like an echo chamber with bumpers made of mirrors is the way that I described it to my mentor. And I'm sure that all of the other people that he's working with in this container are experiencing it a little bit differently. And there's a group component to it as well. And again, like I'm only a week into this. Like I just started this journey and I'm already getting so much from it. But to be honest, I think the thing that has been the most impactful about it so far is that I gave myself permission to receive help. And like, whoa, that has been crazy. That has been a crazy, powerful, potent, and profound shift for me. I really think there was a part of me that felt like if I wasn't achieving these like breakthroughs, epiphanies, or awarenesses completely and 100% totally on my own, then they weren't like legitimate or valid, or I didn't earn them, or I didn't deserve them, which is absurd because when I hold space for people, I don't feel that way about them at all. So I'm learning a ton about like my sense of worthiness, my sense of deservingness, like all my ability to receive, the methods I've been using to protect myself, the reasons I'm hiding my authenticity. And again, I'm doing the work. Like it's coming from me, but the way that space is held is just absolutely perfect for me. But a funny thing about it is that like, there's not a lot of rules in this space. I mean, there's none that have actually been articulated to me at all. And that was really hard for me because I love following rules, even though like I am the Mystic Rebel. I've been the Mystic Rebel. Like I do love following rules. I do, like, because I'm afraid of getting in trouble because it's happened to me. I've been like publicly shamed and humiliated in the past. And therefore I didn't feel like I was safe to, make mistakes. And so in the beginning of this container, I couldn't understand it. I was like, can you give me like some parameters here? Like, how often should I be talking to you? Like, what should I be? Like, I wanted some rules. And he was like, I need you to just relax. Like, I need you to just let this unfold. And I was like, okay, whatever you say, weirdo. And as soon as something clicked in me and I cracked the code on his methodology and was like, oh, without rules and parameters, I create the rules and parameters, which then gives me an opportunity. I'm projecting what I want this experience to be onto the experience, which then gives me clarity about the kind of experience I want to provide for other people. So it has already been so game changing and so profound and so cool. And I'm going to keep sharing as much as I can as I move through this process and as I learn more. And you're not only going to hear about it probably, but you're going to be seeing it, because I already have so much clarity about what I actually want to be doing and who I actually want to be serving. And the fact that I have permission to make that decision, because what I realized is that I started this business at 24 years old. This November, my business turns 10. And I started this business at 24 years old, but I started serving clients at 22. And so from very early on, all I knew was that I wanted to help people. I just want to help people. And that was all I needed to know, I thought. And that was what was important to me. And that's all that mattered. And what I'm realizing is that because that was my mentality and my belief, I let other people tell me what they wanted from me and how I was supposed to be serving them. I was letting my clients dictate what I should be doing. And unfortunately, I've had thousands of clients. So I've gotten some pretty mixed messages, but never in the process did I make enough room for myself to decide what I wanted, what kind of clients I want to work with, what kind of work I want to be doing. And I think I'm arriving to this right on time. Like, I don't feel like it's too late or I made mistakes or nothing. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm right on schedule, right on cue. Like everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. I feel really good about it. I've, all the 10 years that I've been doing this differently and letting clients inform me has been very informative. Lots of in the field research, lots of awareness is coming to me. So much growth and expansion that I don't know that I would have had another way, but I'm really feeling ready to start doing this differently. And I still have some clarity to come through and some specifics to iron out and some things that I'm feeling excited about getting even more aware of. But I would say by January, that's like the intuitive sense I have, you're going to be seeing entirely new ways to work with me. And that feels really good and really exciting to me. And for the first time, I'm giving myself permission to decide what I want that to look like. So yay. It's really exciting. It's really fun. And I love learning. I love growing. I love personal development. I'm really just enjoying the ride. I'm having fun, and it's tough. Don't get me wrong. Facing my, my ego and my pride and my fear and my protection methods, my armor I've been wearing, the fact that I feel like I have to wear armor in the world. I'm crying. I'm up in this bitch crying. Let me tell you that right now. But at the same time, I'm having so much fun. And I feel so overjoyed because the work that I'm about to step into and that I'm already stepping into is going to be so much more impactful for you. And I can still help people. And I think I can help them even better. I can help you even better when I'm doing it the way that I want to. And when I'm doing what I am truly here to do, not, allowing myself to get shaken up like a magic 8-ball and giving each person exactly what they're asking for. Instead, I can give the people that resonate with me exactly what they need. So that is really exciting. So thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in for that little chat. I always enjoy our little catch-up time. And now I think it's time for us to tune into the collective numerology of September. As I'll be doing every month, I want to tap in to talk about the month of September through the lens of numerology. And I'm going to be honest, this is the most potent, pivotal, and spiritually alchemizing month of the year, because we are about to be super uncomfortable, but at least we'll be uncomfortable together. So September is a collective month 9 inside a collective year 9, which means that this doubling down on the vibration of 9 is going to create a concentrated portal of endings, release, and radical reckoning. It's going to ask us to be brutally honest, and we will no longer be able to hide behind more soft or comforting half-truths or excuses. But before we go any further, as I like to do, I want to really clarify the energy of the number 9 itself as it presents itself in both its light and its shadow, because you'll be feeling all of it this month. In numerology, the number 9 is the last stop in the cycle of single digits. So it carries the energy of wisdom, completion, and compassion. And in its light, 9 is generous, forgiving, and deeply humanitarian. It sees the bigger picture and cares about making the world better for everyone, not just itself. So people or times influenced by 9 often bring lessons about letting go, rising above ego, stepping into service, creativity, and integrity. It's the number of the old soul who's here to share what they've learned and guide others forward. I'm actually a life path 9 myself. On the shadow side, 9 can get weighed down by its depth. It can resist the endings that it brings upon itself, causing it to cling desperately to the past or feel overwhelmed by grief and responsibility. And sometimes it gives too much and forgets its own needs and ends up falling into patterns of martyrdom or self-sacrifice or self-abandonment. And other times it may avoid pain altogether through escapism or bypassing. But this month is not about to let us bypass anything. And spoiler alert, if you do somehow, it's going to haunt and taunt you and come right back up again until it's fully faced. So we may as well just buckle down and get her done. So what does this mean for all of us? September is a holy invitation to stop. September is a holy invitation to honor the endings in your life instead of simply tolerating them. And this is where we stop seeing endings as loss and start seeing endings as thresholds into the spaces that we are dying to enter and for some reason refuse ourselves access to. Endings are moments when we are spiritually and emotionally aware that we are crossing from one state of being into another. Endings cause us to confront and observe the transition from something to something else. So usually we resist this energy because we are so attached to what is, even when we secretly and not so secretly hate it, because we would rather dance with the devil that we know than the angel that we don't. We are so uncomfortable in uncertainty that we would rather fester in something that we know damn good and well is misaligned. To me, it's like outgrowing your clothes. Every time you sit, your pants are digging into you, your shirts are cutting off your circulation in your arms, but you're daunted by the idea of going into the world and trying something new or spending money on something new. And you decide that you feel more comfortable in what you know than what is foreign and unfamiliar or what might feel unattainable. So I want to remind you, this isn't about endings for the sake of loss. It's about release in service of truth. It's about surrender in service of self. It's about choosing your most aligned life instead of clinging to your stories that keep you safe, quote unquote, in cages built by the fearful parts of you. And the energy of September makes it impossible to keep pretending that things are okay when they're not. So if you're feeling the urge to step away from something, even if it's subtle, or if you're feeling the desire to stop performing alignment where you're not really experiencing it, then you need to listen and you need to act. This double 9 portal causes us each to confront what in our lives is truly no longer aligned and where we're forcing ourselves to fit like soggy, swollen puzzle pieces that can no longer be placed where they once were. Be prepared to let go of what you've been holding and gripping out of fear that it won't be replaced. So be prepared to release with love before things grow toxic. Be prepared to admit that a square peg cannot fit in a round hole no matter how hard you try or how deeply you deny. Be prepared to confront the idea that staying in circumstances that no longer serve you is self-abandonment. Be prepared to watch illusions and excuses dissolve and to witness truth get louder and louder and louder until you can't ignore it anymore. So whether it's the death of an identity, a relationship, a business, a belief system, a version of yourself that has kept you safe, death is part of the cycle. It's not evidence that you're flawed or that you failed or that you've even made a mistake. Letting go means that you are moving on. You are fighting stagnancy and claiming momentum. Letting go means that you are growing in new directions, and that's what your soul wants deep down. Your soul wants to grow and know itself more, and keeping your essence in one place limits its stimulation and what it can use to expand and explore itself. So this month is where ego deaths and spiritual deaths and emotional deaths are not only possible, but imperative, because we're needing to ask ourselves what needs to die so that something more true can live. And this energy is like a compost pile. This is collective energy that is also affecting your frequency, but it's actually the vibration of what we are all experiencing together. And right now we're watching systems built on greed, exploitation, and power hoarding fall apart in real time. We're watching state violence escalate, human rights erode, economic collapse accelerate, climate devastation intensify, political cruelty become law. A lot of us are wanting to tune out because we are so sensitive and we see this insanity for what it is, and we can't hold much more of it. But that pressure cooker feeling like we're about to pop is actually a sign that we cannot continue to function this way, and what cannot be will not be. Beneath the chaos that we're seeing, we're watching the lie of normal die. The illusion that we could ever go back to what was is gone. And honestly, that's good, because it was never right. And the people who want to, quote, make America great again are also living a delusion, because it was never great either. And to just get personal for a second, I myself thought that democracy was much more solid than it evidently was. Checks and balances were nailed into me from middle school onward. I thought that our systems were both solid and resilient, but nothing built on a rotten foundation can stand strong. And we knew that these systems were corrupted, but I didn't assume them to be so fragile, as I know some or many of you didn't either. And it turns out that it was crumbling underneath the facade of unity and justice for all. And we are seeing that in action here in the United States and the reverberation of that impact abroad. So this month asks, how do we grieve the fantasy of going back to when things seemed good and build something better instead, something stronger, something with a true and a real foundation beneath it that we can really stand on, and that will hold the immensity of the true unity and true justice and true freedom that we are trying to build? And on a more individual level, how do we find purpose in a world that feels like it's falling apart? How do we find what is sacred when nothing feels certain? This is the crossroads and the crumbling where we, the conscious, the awakened, the compassionate, get to decide what rises next. And there's something beautiful that you may not know, which is September is always the peak month of your personal year in numerology. So that means whatever personal year you're in, this month holds the most potent, defining energy of that process. It's like standing at the top of a mountain and seeing your entire journey from a higher vantage point. This is your moment of insight, of accumulation and clarity. And this is your breakthrough where things click into place and make sense. And we get clarity by getting honest with ourselves about what needs to end in order to make room for the deeper truth. And if you want to understand what that means for you specifically and what personal portal you are walking through individually, make sure you're signed up for my newsletter and following me on Instagram for this month's personal numerology horoscopes. That's where I share them. And we'll make sure to link all of that in the show notes just in case you need it. But in the meantime, do me and do yourself a favor and just be willing to grieve. Be willing to let go, to be plain and honest about what is over. And you are allowed to grow out of anything that no longer reflects the truth of who you are. Give yourself that permission to outgrow anything, even if you think it is serving you, even if you think you need it, even if you think that the attachment you feel to it is necessary, grant yourself permission to truly let go. And we're going to be doing that together. So I'm right there with you. So this brings us to our final segment of today, the Let Me Ask My Psychic segment, which, as you know, we will have a very special guest joining us momentarily. But first, Mike, go ahead and drop that intro in right here.
Feeling like something's missing in your life? Searching for clarity in the chaos? Unsure of your next move or just need some wise guidance? It's time for Let Me Ask My Psychic. Right here on the Higher Self Hotline, Zoey Greco is ready to dial into the divine and deliver some heavenly hints just for you. So why not give us a ring at 1-800-HIGH-ANGEL? Because who wouldn't want a little angelic advice?
All right, blessed babes. I would love if you would welcome today's guest and my first in-studio guest ever, my husband, Ethan Sigmund. Yay!
Yeah. Hello. I got to talk into the mic.
You look cute as can be. I love your outfit.
I love being here with you.
I'm so happy. I'm so excited. So usually, as you know, this segment is where I answer listener questions. And I did ask for a couple on Instagram related to love and relationships, and particularly if anyone had questions for us about our relationship, since this is our anniversary. Pulling a hair off your microphone.
Anniversary.
Oh, wait, there's still hair in your microphone. There we go. So since this is our anniversary coming up, September 9th will be 9 years since we've been married.
Yes.
So I figured we could take some questions about it.
11, almost 13 years together. Almost 12 years. Sorry.
I did the exact.
Guys, I am kind of sick. Well, I'm not. I was about to say I'm very sick. I woke up with a slight sore throat and a swollen gland, and I'm like, I can't afford to get sick. And so I just have like medicated very heavily, and they've all kind of kicked in. So I can do math. I can add 1 to 11.
You know what's funny? I did the exact same thing on this episode. I was like, we've been together for, was it 11 years, 12 years? Like I couldn't decide. So I had the exact same error on my side.
That's funny.
But yes, I do want to just mention that Ethan is sick. And not only is he sick, he's heavily medicated. I'm on a mushroom microdose right now. You're on a ton of supplements and vitamins and pills, whatever you found lying around the house.
And a gummy.
And a gummy. So we're just kind of taking it all in, and we're just going to show up the best we can. We also have our 3 dogs right outside the door clawing to get in. So if you can hear that sound, they're not being abused. They just really wish they were in here.
They wish they were part of the episode.
They wish they were part of the episode. So first and foremost, I just want to say you're my best friend in the world.
Oh, well, you're my best friend.
Being married to you is the coolest thing I've ever done.
Same.
And it is my biggest and greatest source of joy and happiness.
It's my greatest accomplishment ever that I was able to land you.
Babe, that's so sweet.
Kiss to the mic.
So I just want to start off by saying that we have not done a podcast episode together for years.
Yeah, it's been a very long time.
The last time we did one, we were living at Salt in Tempe. So it has been quite a minute since we've done an episode together. And that one was like we didn't even have Let Me Ask My Psychic at the time. I think it was called The Psychic and the Mormon, was like the title. And it was just about our relationship and kind of like, you know, navigating the process of coming into union with someone that you're just so different than. And we kind of talked about how like we navigated that process, but that was a really long time ago. You've changed a lot as a person. I've changed a lot as a person. We've changed, I think, a lot as a couple, but just in ways that I feel like we've grown closer and we've deepened our relationship. So I'm curious just to hear from you before we take some questions, kind of like how you perceive some changes, or like what kinds of changes you perceive in our relationship over the last several years. Also, if you want to put your arm here, you totally can.
Yeah. Well, I think we have both kind of shifted on maybe like how we view. Well, I think me more than you, like shifted on how I view like the world and like, you know, what's the word, I guess, deity and things like that. But I think we've both like shifted and changed a lot, but we, in my opinion, have grown, and we're just growing in the same direction. I think that's something that we've been very, like, whether it's blessed or lucky or it's like intentional. I think that's something that's, I'm grateful for, that we've grown in the same direction. I think there's a couple archetypes that can happen in a relationship, like that archetype that we have, or dynamic, I guess, where like both individuals grow in the same direction. There's a dynamic where one person grows one way, the other person grows another way. And then there's a dynamic where somebody grows one way, the other person doesn't want to
grow at all. Yeah.
And then I think there's like a fourth dynamic where both individuals like don't want to grow at all, right? And so
yeah,
I think there's like certain relationships don't work because like if one person's growing and the other person's not, that creates like friction. And then obviously if both people are growing in different directions, that creates friction. So.
Yeah. I think you and I are both really committed. I'm trying to find a place to put my arm in this. You take the armrest.
So one person set, people.
There you go. We're both on it. I feel like we are both really committed to growth. And I feel like it's one of our shared values is growth. And so I expect you to grow and you expect me to grow. But I think the thing
I would be like disappointed if you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. I would also be disappointed if you didn't.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that's really important is that even though I expect you to grow, I don't have expectations about what that will look like or what it should look like. Yes, exactly.
Same, yeah.
Exactly. And I think that that's one of the things that has been really beautiful about our relationship is like, there's so much freedom to be and become whoever we want to be and become. And I trust and I know who you are on a soul level and trust who you are on a soul level. So no matter how you change, I know that I will be in resonance with that person, or I will admire that person or be able to grow myself because of that, my proximity to the person that you're becoming. But like the detachment from specificity or expectation about what you should or shouldn't be is like really important to me. And even as you've been like growing and changing over the last several years in your own like journey, people have said things to me like, oh, you must love that. You must be so excited, whatever. And I'm always like, nope, I have no attachment to the result, only to the process that you continue to know yourself and love yourself and continue to grow in a way that you feel proud of and that you feel good about and that you feel that you can be fulfilled and happy in the person that you are. Like that's all I want for you.
Yeah.
And I feel that from you for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. 100%. I don't have like, I don't have like, oh, I hope Zoey like changes in this way. Like there's those things never like cross my mind.
Yeah.
But the thing that does cross my mind is like, I want to continue to grow. So I hope you continue to grow. But I also am not worried that you will or won't.
Yeah.
Like I knew that was like the type of that you had a growth mindset and that was like the type of person that you were before we ever got married. And that was like one of the things that like attracted to me. And so I guess earlier when I said like, I would be disappointed if you didn't, I don't even know if I'd be disappointed. I'd be like concerned because I would feel like it's antithetical of like who you are.
Yeah,
and
I
so
agree.
like, is something larger going on? You know what I mean?
I agree with you 100%. And I feel like, it's interesting because I've wanted to bring you back on the podcast for quite some time, or like I've even thought it sometimes of like what it would be like for us to have our own segment or our own show or whatever, because, and we're going to address this in one of the questions we're asked today, but I see so much in clients that I work with or listeners or like just people that reach out to me, how much people settle in their relationships. And I really believe that we are an example of a relationship where you are truly happy, truly fulfilled, truly met, truly seen, understood, witnessed, supported, nourished. Like I am so genuinely happy in our relationship that like, I don't think other people understand, or like, unless you have that in your life, you you don't actually think it's possible.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like you don't have the perspective on it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You don't have the experience to validate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I think I've thought before about like what a powerful example, we could potentially be, not to like be boastful, but I think it's important to show people what is possible. But also I've wondered sometimes at the same time, like, is it so healthy because we are so private and because there's so much like sacredness and like our relationship is extremely intimate because like it belongs to us and solely us and we don't really share it. So I've kind of like grappled with that sometimes of like, oh, we could be a great example to people, but like, would it come at the cost of the relationship? Like, could it change the relationship? I'd like to think no.
I don't think it, I would also like to think it, the answer would be no, but like it introduces a new dynamic into the relationship. I think we could navigate that and like, figure it out. Just like we have with everything else in life. But
Well, like something that I was thinking about today as we were getting ready for this is like, first of all, there are spouses and partners who would not come on the show, like would not want to participate.
Oh, really?
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Like, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I'm wearing a tiara and like you have not thought twice about it. Like when I came out, you're like, oh, cute. I love that. Like there are people who would be like, can you take that off? It's embarrassing me. Like there's so many ways that partners like limit each other or like keep each other small because of their own discomfort that they project onto their partner. And I think something that really works in our favor is the fact that we're both like, go big or go home, bitch. Like take it to the extreme. Like you're so supportive.
I'm super supportive. I don't even know if I would be like, go big or go home. I think for myself, I'm kind of like that. But I would say as a general, I'm more just like, do what you are excited about for everyone, right? Like we all... I think, and what's interesting is I think at a core, that is something that I kind of get from Mormonism, from like growing up Mormon, which is kind of like this double-edged sword because it's a very conservative religion. So like, there's a lot of stuff where it's like, oh, oppress yourself, do this. But like a core tenet of the religion is agency. And it's like, we can manipulate that however you want, but that is something that I still believe at like my core, that like us as human beings, like agency is like one of the best things that we have. And so we should give everybody the freedom to have their agency in any way that they see fit. Right. And so like, whether that's like who you can marry or whatever, right? Like it can go across the whole spectrum, but like it goes down to even like the small things of like wearing a tiara, like, cool, if that's what you want to do and you're excited about it, like I'm here for it. You know what I mean? And like I would hope that you would grant me that same like, support. Yeah,
totally. But I think there's also like, I think there's like a safety that we provide each other to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And because we both, again, share that value. So we have a shared value of growth. We also have a shared value of like agency, free will, self-expression. And I think, we're both, especially over the last couple of years, like undoing conditioning that has prevented each of us from doing that in our own way. And so like, have I ever worn a tiara on the podcast before? No. Like Ethan built this set that we're sitting on. So if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify,
I didn't do it alone.
I designed it, but like you literally took 2x4s and made a stage. Like you're so supportive of the visions that I have and the things I want to be and the things I want to do, that like you believed so firmly I deserve to be on a stage that you built me one. Like that is, I think, quite extreme. Like, it's a very extreme version of support. Yeah. But that you have the same thing from me, that like, if you want to do something or you want to be something, you have the safety to explore it without someone going, are you sharing it? Like, like there's we're not creating doubt in the other person. We're not projecting anything onto the other person except like belief and support. And I think it's like more than just not like being a negative Nancy. It's like being a cheerleader. It's not just like, are you sure you want to wear that? It's like, you should wear that because you look cute and I love it. You know what I mean? It's like this extra level of support that like emboldens us like to receive from the other person. And also like I was gonna say it doesn't help. No, it extra helps. It super helps that I feel like when you support me, it means extra to me because I really like and respect you. Like, I think you're cool. So if you are like, yeah, you should do that, I'm like, okay, yeah, like I should do that. Cause like Ethan said I should, and like, he's really cool. You know what I mean? Like, I value your opinion over most people, but not more than I value my own opinion. Which is like important too, I think.
Yeah. Super, super important.
So I just think those are some cool things to talk about and share with people.
I agree.
So I want to take some questions if you're feeling open to answer them. I have 2 questions that I thought we could address that were specifically to us, but then there was also another one that came through that was kind of about like relationships in general that I thought could be cool to get your perspective on as well. So I think we might end up doing 3. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer episode, but
let's do it.
It's good shit, you guys. You're going to enjoy it. So just ride the wave.
We need that watch time.
We need that watch time. So, okay. They're both addressed to me, but they're about us. So first one says, "Hi, Zoey. I just adore you. I've been listening to the show for years and your love story always stayed with me. I remember the episode where you shared how you and your husband came together, and I've thought about it so many times since. It gave me so much hope that love can look different and still be deeply aligned. I'm curious, how do you two navigate having different spiritual backgrounds, especially with the kind of work you do and the journey he's been on? Do you ever bump up against those differences, or has it become something that strengthens your relationship?" Do you want to take the first whack at it? And that's from our loving listener, Ashley. I want to throw that out there.
Ashley, thank you for your question. I think so. How do we approach, what's the kind of main sentiment, that spiritual,
like our spiritual differences, and like, do they rub on us or bump us? Yeah.
I would say, so one thing that we have going for us, like at, again, our core, I think we are aligned in values, like how we think people should be treated, like how you should be as a human, like what is right and what's wrong, etc. So I do think those things are aligned. I think those things are informed and nurtured through your belief system, but there is like a nature aspect to that. And I would say that I think if we didn't have those things in alignment, then we wouldn't be able to kind of function the way that we do. So I think at the core, we have those things in line, and then really the other beliefs come down to just like how both of us perceive the world and see how like those things maybe interact throughout like the cosmos or the universe, like, and the truth is like, I'm not someone that takes a stance where it's like, this is the exact way that it is, and I know exactly how it's this way, because like the truth is, I believe like with any of this stuff, like until potentially we die or even later, who knows, like we'll never fully know, right? Like how can we prove for certain things, right? And so it's all just like based off of like your spiritual feelings and what resonates with you and the frequency you're on. And so I'm super open as a person as to like how people interpret like the, what they're seeing. I almost kind of think like spirituality is like we're all looking at a painting and then we're all just like describing this painting to each other. And it's like, nobody's going to describe it the exact same way, but we could all still be looking at the same painting. You know what I mean? Because we all might start like, one person might start talking about it up like the color of someone's hair first, or somebody's talking about like a wider picture. You know what I mean?
But resonance is where you find the overlap. It's like, oh, I'm seeing what you're seeing, and I'm also seeing this, and I'm also seeing that.
Yeah.
And that's actually what I was going to say is like, I find that being with someone who has a different background than I do has been really supportive in helping me expand my perspective. Because like I see what I see and you see something else. And then together we can see things because we're pointing it out to each other. And it's like all of a sudden more of the picture becomes visible.
Yeah.
So like I actually feel like I've grown spiritually and personally because of how different we are.
Yeah, no, same. And I think the reason we maybe haven't come up to a spot where like, hey, we're really at odds is because we're both like willing to listen. You know what I mean? Like, I think when you're like closed off and not like willing to like actually like hear what the other person is saying and then like try to legitimately process that, that's where like that friction comes from. And even if it's just from one person in the relationship, right? Because like if one side's doing that and you're the side that is like the open listener and stuff, like that's gonna rub you. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think like what it really comes down to is less about like being concerned that somebody like sees the universe the same way as you, sees God the same way as you, is the exact same religion as you, and more concerned of like, hey, do we have the same base like ethical principles, and are we both like willing to be critical thinkers and like take in information from like every source possible and be receptive of that, right?
The other thing I think that really helps us is that we are both, the other thing I think that really helps us is the fact that we are both like flexible and willing to learn and listen and grow, but we also are both secure enough in our own perspectives that we don't need the other person to agree with us. And that's something I remember
Neither
speaking
of us are
about.
trying to convince the other person that we're right.
And I remember speaking about that in the last episode we did, because that has been one of the things that has stuck with me since the very beginning of our relationship, is the fact that like we came together and you were like, I think this. And I was like, I think this. And from that very moment, we were like, cool. Like we don't need the other person to agree, which like, and I don't want to speak disparagingly on like the Mormon religion in any way. I just have seen like couples in like, they're religious in any way, where like, you know, religion is a central tenet of the relationship. But I saw it firsthand in Mormonism where like, you know, one person in the couple decides they don't want to go to church anymore. And it's like earth shattering for the relationship. Like you can't even be with that person anymore because your beliefs are not aligned. And I think a lot of people find security in what they believe by finding validation through other people agreeing with them. Like they feel secure and validated through other people being in agreement. And you and I just didn't need that from each other. And instead we were like, actually, what if, hear me out, it's actually better for us not to agree. So I've always thought it interesting that like, you know, people feel like there's, you know, these core things that they need from that other person that I've never really feel like I've needed from you. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. And you took the words right out of my mouth actually a couple of times, which is cool. Cause I feel like another thing that's happening is like the more we're together, I feel like our telepathy is really strong. Like I know kind of what you're going to say before you say it. And people often tell us like our body language mirrors each other or like our active listening is exactly the same. Like we say the same things. So like I could hear what you were going to say before you said it. And I 100% agree that like our shared values are the things that drew us together and potentially keep us together. But we have all of this belief that we're both allowed to freely explore the world, knowing that like we can rely on the other person to still come back to those core values. And our values have become more nuanced and like more expanded by our exploration. And so we come back to each other like, I learned what authenticity means, or like, I learned what this means. And we continue to like help each other evolve those values into something more like deep and nuanced and profound and like fractaled. Like there's more richness, there's more substance in like our values because of our exploration, I think. So like it's not only has it not been an issue, it's been a benefit, is like what I can say about that.
Yeah. And I guess, I mean, I know this doesn't fully help answer the question. I think maybe one of the core desires at the center of this question was like, you know, how learning skills to navigate, you know, different beliefs in a relationship. And we're kind of sitting here being like, well, really, we kind of have the same beliefs.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's the core of it. It's not so much about like, oh, how do I deal with this? It's more of like, hey, how can I make sure that I'm aligned at a like core level with someone? And if I'm not, then that's probably not your person. And that's okay too, right? Like, I mean, it's good to find that out like before you're 10, 15 years in,
bunch of kids,
kids, or, you know, even just intertwined life dynamics, whatever it might be, it becomes, you start to dig yourself in a deeper and deeper situation.
However, I want to remind anyone that is 10 or 15 years in, that is a couple kids in, you still have the freedom and the permission and the right to say, this isn't what I'm looking for. This isn't what I desire. This isn't the partnership or the life that I am looking to create, or that, now that I've tried this on and I'm finding that my partner isn't willing to grow with me or see my perspective or hear me or make change. If you're not feeling witnessed in your relationship, you have every right, and you've asked to be witnessed and you're not being met with effort to be witnessed, you have every right to change your mind. And it's never too late and it's never too hard. We're just saying, if you can begin to have this level of consciousness about it from the beginning, it will work in your favor. But to what you were saying before, like with luck, like I was 22 years old when I met you. I did not know any of the qualities I would really need in a partner or want in a partner, especially as I evolved and matured and got older and the necessities of life or anything. I just saw your soul and was like, this one feels good. Like this feels right to me. And we did, I don't even want to say got lucky. Like we really recognized each other and like knew there was medicine and like beauty that the other person had that we each needed. And like, I think if you can really see that and understand it for what it is from the beginning, like to have consciousness around it, that's what really creates a strong relationship.
Yeah, 100%.
So let's move on to question number 2. And this one says, hi, Zoey. Congratulations on your anniversary. The love and respect between you and your husband just radiates, and it's so inspiring to see a couple that feels so aligned and supportive of each other. Thank you. I'd love to hear your advice for someone like me, someone who's never really seen a healthy relationship up close, but still believes it's possible. How do you start believing you're worthy of that kind of love? And what did you have to unlearn or heal in yourselves to be ready for this kind of partnership? I would actually love to answer this one first if I could.
Yeah, please.
I really want to challenge a kind of like pervasive belief that you have to love yourself in order to be loved. Yes, and I was not in a space to love myself when Ethan came into my life. I did not feel worthy. I did not feel healed. I did not feel ready to hold love. But I had someone in front of me who saw that and still told me that I was worthy. And that changed me. And I really think that's important to share, because I think there's a lot of people out here teaching the mentality that you have to believe you're worthy in order to have that kind of love come into your life. And the truth is that that kind of love came into my life before I knew I was worthy. I unlearned unworthiness through being loved. And that, I think, is, and I'm still learning to accept love. And like, there are times when you're so kind to me that it brings me to tears immediately. Like I start to cry right away. Like we were at this concert last night that I was talking about earlier, and my back was killing me. I started my period a few days ago. I've been having like horrible symptoms. I'd been on my feet all day. I was tired. It was late, like much later than I ever usually stay out. And my back, and also I can't see. I'm like craning myself. I was destroyed. And Ethan was standing behind me and started rubbing my neck and my shoulders in the middle of this concert. And I remember being like, this person loves me so much. I remember, like it wasn't just yesterday. I had this feeling where I was like, wow, this person loves me so much that they are so tapped into my body and my needs and my experience, and they want to enhance my experience. Like, you wanted to give me a better experience of this concert, even if it came at the cost of your own. You had gone rock climbing, you had a really hard climbing day, your hands were probably really tapped out, and you still, for like 45 minutes, like rubbed my shoulders so that I could have a better experience. And like, it is sometimes hard for me still to receive that kind of love and to accept that kind of love. But I learned that I am worthy by being loved so much. But also, if I may assume, I think that like you also feel like you can give that love because you receive that love. Like, yeah. I love you in a way I've never loved anybody, like ever. And I always say that Ethan is my favorite person that has ever lived, that is alive or will ever live. Like, he's the greatest human in the history of humans. Like, that's what I personally believe. And I think there's something powerful, like you gain a sense of worth by having someone near you that thinks that and says that. And like, And we'll be at a party and from across the room, I'll be like, hey, you're the hottest person here, Ethan. I love you. Like, you're my favorite person in the world. Like, having someone who can give you love, having someone that can give you that kind of love, I think allows you to feel worthy of it. And, when I wasn't feeling worthy, you challenged that. Yeah. Like, you challenged my sense of unworthiness. And, there were, in the very beginning of our relationship, I pushed you away a lot, because I didn't feel worthy of being loved that way. I had an abandonment wound that I thought, like, everyone leaves me eventually. And if you leave me, it's going to hurt the most of anything I've ever felt before. And we had this added layer of religion where, in my perspective, you were like giving up your ticket to heaven to be married to me. And I couldn't justify that or like, I couldn't understand why you would want to do that. And I didn't want to take it away from you. And I also assumed that would eventually cause you to resent me and want to leave me. And like, there was a lot to it that like, I don't even think at the time, in my 22-year-old brain that I was like fully conscious of, but like on some level, I believed that like it would eventually tear us apart. And you were the one that was like, it's not a sacrifice. It's not even a compromise. I'm getting exactly what I want out of this, which is being with you. And like, you came into my life at one of the hardest times of my life. My mom was supposed to be dying of cancer. She had a terminal diagnosis. I was taking care of her by myself. I was completely overwhelmed. I was, trying to find who I was, start my career, start my life. Like, I was in school. I was working 2 jobs. Like, I was so at the end of my rope. And you were the first person that said, like, I'm with you and we'll do this together. Yeah. And I've never forgotten that experience and what that felt like to be told, like, we will handle it. And I remember being like, I ain't never been a we in my life. Like, what's that? We, I'm like, you're pronouncing that wrong. Like, I had no idea like what you were saying and I couldn't receive it. But you taught me how by being so generous with your love.
Oh, thank you, boo.
I love you.
I love you.
Do you have anything to add to this question? Do you need to hear it again? I took us on a tangent.
No, it's fine. I kind of roughly remember the majority of it. One thing though that you were saying that a thought that I had while you were talking was you were talking about how like, a lot of people will say like you have to love yourself before like you can love someone else and how, I have helped kind of teach you to love yourself. And I think that I agree with you. Like, you don't necessarily have to like, it's better and it makes it easier, right, if you have a love for yourself. But I think what happens often is people that don't love themselves accept love, or because they don't love themselves, they, put themselves in relationships with someone that also doesn't love them. Because it's like, it's you self, like, like just living in your perspective. Like, some people will say it's self-sabotage, but like that's the only perspective that you have, right? And is like, oh, I don't love myself, so nobody will love me. There's
a line from the book, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, that says, we accept the love we think we deserve. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it's from that book. And if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But there's that famous quote, we accept the love we think we deserve. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Is like, if you've, and that was my thing, is I didn't know how to accept it.
Yeah. And so, that's a good point. And then it's a double-sided sword. So that when somebody shows you real love, you're like,
I don't know how to accept that.
I don't know how to accept this.
Yeah.
I only want to accept somebody who's mean to me.
Yes.
Like,
I actually see that more in clients. Like in my work that I do, I see people who don't, like, something is being given to them and they're like they're unattracted to it because it's not what they know. It's unfamiliar to them. Mm-hmm. And therefore, like, they're not interested.
That's just fear.
100%.
That's just like letting yourself be like ruled by fear. Mm-hmm. And love is the opposite of fear. Right? Like, a lot of people would say like hate is the opposite of love, or love is the opposite of hate. I agree with you. I disagree. I think love is the opposite of fear. Mm-hmm. And so like, why would you let your life be like ruled by that? Right? So like, I think a lot of it just comes down to like, you don't necessarily have to heal everything about loving yourself, but you do have to at least shift your mindset to realize like, okay, like I am worthy of love.
Yes.
Everybody's worthy of love. Ugh. And like, don't put yourself in another space where you're not receiving love.
Ugh, 100%. That's why you're my favorite person, because you're so smart and amazing. All right, let's take one last question, because this is about to be a really long episode, but it's worth it. I think there's lots of goodness in this whole one.
Yeah. We'll make the last question a bonus episode.
Yeah, exactly. And that last question that we just received was from someone named Camilla. So I wanted to just mention that Camilla sent us that question.
Thank you for your question.
And this last question is from Marissa. And so it says, "Hi, Zoey. I've been listening to the Higher Self Hotline since the very beginning, since it was the Mystic Rebel podcast. Holy cow. And I just have to say, you've changed the way I relate to myself and my sensitivity. You feel like the kind of friend I've always wished I had growing up. Thank you for being that voice in my ear when I need it most." You're welcome. I'm writing because I'm struggling to trust myself in a relationship I'm in. I've been with someone for over a year, and I go back and forth constantly between feeling like he's my person and feeling like I'm convincing myself to stay. My friends love him. He checks a lot of boxes, but sometimes I just get this feeling that something's off, and then I immediately question it. Is it my intuition? Is it fear? Or is it just commitment issues? You talk so beautifully about hearing your higher self. How do I know if my higher self is the one speaking when the message feels confusing or hard to hear? Love you so much. Thanks for everything you share, Marissa. Okay. Marissa, the very first thing that comes to me is that you said, my friends love him and he checks a lot of boxes. I never heard you say you love him. I never heard you say that you had feelings for him at all, actually. I heard you say you question your feelings for him and that other people feel like he's a good fit for you and that on paper he's a good fit for you. But I didn't actually hear you say once in that message that you have strong feelings for this person. And I mean, I'm not using my psychic ability to answer this question, but I am and I'm not, because I'm reading deeper into the words that you've said. And I think it's important to, like, I'm a person that processes out loud. So for me, what I say, to be able to receive it and listen back to it, is really important, because I choose my words intentionally, even when it's unconscious. And I think that you did the same thing. So I would say the fact that you're having these questioning thoughts and that, you know, you mentioned how other people feel and how you think you're supposed to feel, but not how you actually feel, speaks volumes to me. And that doubt or that questioning is enough evidence for me to say, yeah, you're probably not in a space that you feel good about. And you're probably not in a relationship that you want to maintain or can sustain, because I think there's clearly something missing and your intuition is speaking that to you and trying to say that to you. And you're questioning it because of these external factors. So I personally think your intuition is speaking loud and clear, and it just doesn't make sense that you wouldn't feel like you want to be in this relationship. But I hear that you don't want to be in this relationship personally. Any thoughts?
So I agree with you, but I also have a slightly like, which they may be congruent, but I think they're aligned. It's just like another like angle of it. I agree with you. Like, it was like a lot around like, my friends think he's great, but it wasn't like I really enjoyed these things about him or whatnot.
Our relationship.
Yeah. And so I agree that that's like, there's meaning in that, even though it's subtle, whether it's conscious or subconscious. Whether or not I fully think that that means that like he for sure isn't the one or things, I can't say for sure. I think what it tells me more is that more processing has to be done around your feelings, and like you need to like pull those layers off that onion. Because I think, you know, it's like, hey, you are feeling these things, your feelings are coming, but there's not a like, maybe the why am I having this feeling? Is it, you know, because I get this sense from him, or like, and it can be tiny stuff like, you know, he doesn't it doesn't feel like I get like
I'm truly listened to.
True, yeah, exactly. But like then at least you can kind of have like understand the why behind it. And maybe some of those things are surface level things that like as you come to him and talk to him about that, it's like, oh, okay, that's a spot of growth for me, and I care about you enough that I want to grow in that spot, so I can, you know, make some changes there. Maybe some of them are core things that are just like, oh, okay, I didn't break it down enough. I was just feeling it intuitively, but I didn't break it down enough to like see the root. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'm like fascinated by the way that we both approach this question because it is so indicative of who we are as people.
Yeah.
You are so cerebral. You're like very left brained. Like you love to like solve something, get to the core, break it down. But like, I think, and there's some,
and the answer could end up being the exact same.
It absolutely could.
Probably will.
But that's the thing is like, because I'm intuitive, I tend to skip to the end. I don't show my work. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, I feel it in my bones. I know it. I know this is the answer. But you're like, what if we understood why it's the answer?
Yeah.
Versus like, you know, me just being like, you didn't say you love him.
What's going to be funny about this next thing that I say, is going to be funny because it's actually like kind of completely different than who I really generally am as far as knowledge goes.
I know what you're going to say.
But when it comes to stuff like this, I'm like, yes, the answer can be that like it's not right, but knowing the why helps you like look for those things that you were missing in the next person. So it's almost more important than the answer.
Yeah.
But like in my head, like that's how
for
like a situation like this. But like
I love that.
This is from the guy who like cheated on everything through high school and like never took a test on my own. Like so that's why I'm like, that's ironic. I'm like, oh, you're Mr. Show Your Work over here now.
Yes. But that's because this is something that you value. You're like math, whatever. Like if I know the answer, why do I have to waste my time telling you what X equals? Like I know it. Like I know it. I don't have to show it to you. Yeah. But first of all, this answer is sexy. I like your answer. And you're like, you're hot. Thanks, I like the way you think. I like your brain. But also like what an incredible response. I think that is so beautiful and so valuable. And I'm sure if I was by myself, I might have said something more profound, but I actually think that it's so like, that was one of the reasons I wanted to get your perspective on it is like, what would you say and how would you approach that question? Because we didn't really have that experience in our relationship. Is like, and not to like blow up your spot, but like I'm your first like big relationship in your life, you know? And so like I was curious to see how you would navigate that, but also how you would navigate it at 34 versus 24 is probably, or 35 is really different than like how you would have in the past. So I think that's cool.
But I do think we had that in our relationship. We just didn't uncover anything that was like, oh yeah, this isn't.
We didn't have a reason to break up.
Like we've talked about one, right? Where you're like, you were saying like I was very distant. So, like the religion thing was tough because I didn't know if that like I felt like he was giving his, you know.
But what I'm saying is I never felt like you weren't for me.
Yeah.
I felt like you were for me, but there were all these things that were in our way. And I was like, can we get through these things? Like, I don't know. But like, I never questioned if you were for me. And so and I think the same is true. Like, I think we both kind of right away were like, all right, like maybe me a little quicker than you, but pretty fast. You were like, no, yeah, okay, like I'm down with that. So it was a different experience than like we had, you know, in our relationship. But I think that response is amazing. I loved every word you said. And I hope that Marissa feels like her answer, like that Marissa, I agree with Ethan. I still think he's not for you. I'm going to stand by that. But I think understanding why is going to be really important especially because you're feeling like, you know, he checks everything off like on paper, he's perfect. He's right for you. Everyone says, you know, he feels like he's right for you. And if you're still feeling like he's not, you do need to understand why.
There's boxes that you have that you don't know of yet.
Your list of criteria is bigger or more nuanced than you gave it credit for. And you're allowed to learn, even at the expense of a relationship or someone else's feelings, because you're both growing from that in the end. And he deserves to be with someone that is certain about him, just like you deserve to be with someone that's certain about you. We all do.
And I think too, it's like, it's okay to realize that like, maybe you realize like, oh, this box that I had that I thought was a box that I needed in a relationship is not as important as this other box that I didn't realize I had. And that's okay. Like you are part of being in a relationship, and dating is like learning and growing and learning about yourself and about someone else.
Well, I think there you have it, blessed babes. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me be on and mansplain on here. Just kidding.
There was no mansplaining today.
We got a male perspective on the podcast.
Yes, but you know what? You're more than a man, Ethan. You're a soul, and your soul is really wise, and it had a lot of really beautiful things to say. So thank you for coming on and sharing today. I really love you and appreciate you.
I had so much fun.
Well, there you have it, blessed babes. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode. And I would love if we could take a moment to send this week's subject, you, some love, sweetness, and positivity as you continue on your personal journey. If you're interested in being on the podcast, send an email to podcast@zoegreco.com. Connect with me on all socials at the Zoey Greco. And if you're interested in following Ethan, he's at Ethan Sig, SIG. On socials, and he's doing a lot of amazing content around marketing right now. Ethan is he has his own marketing agency, and he is absolutely killing the game. It's like truly crushing it. And once my messaging is even more dialed in, I know he's going to help me crush it too. So really excited about that. So if there's anything you want to learn about marketing, he's your guy. And of course, I want to conclude by reminding you that you are important. You matter, and you are perfect exactly the way that you are. I love you. Your spirit guides love you. Ethan loves you, and the universe loves you. So until next time, keep answering the call of your higher self. Bye, friends.